Hi, so today we chose to do Santa's workshop, and our presentation will cover the project scope, the technical system we built, the custom features, and a quiz live demo. Our group members are Kent, Andrew, and Marilyn. So the challenge. Um, well, the true challenge is mathematical. Not all initial 4 by 4 tile configurations are solvable. Our first engineering task was to solve this problem to ensure every game is fair. So we engineered the Santa's Workshop puzzle, a full stack web application designed for a superior user experience and robust, secure functionality. And we use a molecular architecture with JavaScript classes for the front end and secure PHP API and endpoints for the back end. And our success was measured by successfully executing 3 layers of the requirements. The core requirements, like the multi-size puzzle, the 5 database implementation requirements, and where security was non-negotiable, and the custom features for Santa's workshop theme. So the most complex and heavily graded assignment was the database. We achieved the SQL injection preventions by strictly using PDO and prepare statements for all database queries. User passwords are secure using the industry standard Bicep patching algorithm. We designed a normalized um, schema across all 5 requirement components: user, session, puzzle, analytics, and security. And then we added database indexes on the highly queried columns like user ID and completion time to prevent performance issues. To guarantee a solvable puzzle every time, we implemented a parity check. This check combines the tile inversion count with the empty tiles row position to prove solvability before the game even begins. And finally, we strictly adhere to the instructions prohibiting GUI tools like MySQL Workbench. All our database setup and management were done using the command line interface.
So for the thematic UI and UX in Polish, what we ended up doing for our project was using an adaptive difficulty real-time adjustment. We basically track performance metrics, the times, the moves over the 10 games on over the last 10 games to calculate a weighted score. Um, and then we had that automatically adjust the shuffle complexity for basically a smoother challenge curve. As far as the thematic elements, we ended up going with a festive design using JavaScript to check the current time and then activate those CSS variables. For story and rewards, Christmas story mode, which creates a non-intrusive dialogue system that triggers when the puzzle size changes with progress persisted in the database. So all that happens and is not currently, but is consistent with the database that we have. And then we also implemented a gift and reward system linked to achievements. As far as the UX, um, for our users, the victory system pretty much features a celebratory completion with a visual effect and rewards in all these metrics for how long it took for our users to complete their games. And then moving forward. Certain key features that we included were three different features: the multi-size puzzles, going up in dimension between 3 to 3, all the way up to 10 to 10 grids. The strategic assistance, in other words, a hint button for if some of our users are having trouble with completing their games. And then it will show you what sort of tile to move to without solving the puzzle entirely. And then we have our comprehensive analytics, which is that page that shows the record, personal bests, the history of the users, achievements, all that's queried to the database. And then, yeah, let's see it in action.
So this is our demonstration of Santa's Workshop, our Christmas puzzle that we created. So when the user initially opens the page, this is what they're gonna see. This is the home page. They're gonna be greeted with 5 buttons at the bottom, one that starts the match, one for logging in, one for registering an account if they don't have one already, one for the analytics page, and then one for the scoreboard that we've named the nice list. When the user goes to the analytics page before they've logged in, they won't see anything because there's no way to track their progress without having them create a user account first. So they'll be asked to log in / create an account first before they can view their analytics. Go back to the home page. Then here is the nice list itself. These are just the two ones we've created before just for debug reasons. You can filter the leaderboard by the puzzle sizes, so every single puzzle size is up here. You can also sort the leaderboard based on the time that was completed the fastest. You can sort it by the moves that were used. Also the most recent score that was achieved. So we're gonna go back home and we're gonna register a new user. When a new user is registered, they will be greeted by the page on the home screen. So this will appear so long as the user is logged in. And also, if they successfully complete registration, the web page will automatically bring them back to the home page. So now we're going to start a match. When the user first loads into the website, the initial puzzle size started as 4 by 4, even though it does go down to 3 by 3. The initial one started as 4 by 4. And when the user first loads in, they will get the little story modal. There's one of these for every single puzzle size, and it progresses the story the further the sizes go up because they're treated like levels. So example, the 6 by 6 after this is basically level 2. So we're gonna click through this really quick. And then the user can start working on the puzzle. So we're gonna solve that. Also, users can not only tap the tiles next to the empty space, they can also slide them into the empty space, and this will effectively do the same animation sequence. So that was just a level of interactivity we decided to add. That's also why the name of the game is called Christmas Slide Puzzle. Minute. So this is what happens when the user solves the puzzle. As you can see, this one actually took quite a bit of time. We really probably should adjust what the difficulties mean. But the system gave me an efficiency of good because it took me about 800 moves in 12 minutes. So when the user solves the puzzle, they will get their badges and power-ups at the bottom. As you can see in the power-ups, while I haven't gone to next screen, you can see they have now updated in the power-up section. So there is now 3 time freezes, 3 extra hints, and 5 extra undo moves that the user got as a power-up. So if we go ahead and click next level, we get the next story modal. And you can see we got the time freeze, extra hints, and undo moves. We are now on the 6x6 grid, so I will not solve this one for the sake of time. So I'm gonna go ahead and head to home. Yeah, I'm gonna get a warning message. This is due to the puzzle having been started. And this is just letting the user know that this will count as a loss in analytics. This is fine. We're just gonna go ahead and leave. So now if we go to the analytics page, we should see the puzzle that we completed. As you can see here, personal best, the puzzle size, specifically the amount of time that it took, the amount of moves, and total completions. You can see here the statistics, the game history, once again, average completion time, total games which is won, the win rate of 100%, and then we last played it just now. So if we go to the nice list, you can see it here, the date that it was completed at, the amount of moves, the amount of time it took, and then the user, if they're logged in and their score is on the player board, it will be highlighted in green, their username, to indicate that it's them. The leaderboard can filter by size, like I mentioned. You can also sort. So let's say if we wanted to say we wanted to sort by moves fewest, sort it this way. Well, I guess this is already sorted by moves fewest, but we're just not going to cut all of that. So if we go back to the home page, I'm just going to test out the login feature, see if I remember my login for this account. Yep, okay. And that's the login under a new one. And if we go to the leaderboard, yep, there I am labeled. And if we go to analytics, they should look different for each user. Yes, as you can see, the puzzle time, best time was 361, and the amount of moves completed was 382 for that one. And then obviously here the game history, when we played that, and the win rate of it. Go back home, and yeah, that's our demo. So this portion of the presentation is just going to be a quick overlook of some of the code. I'm going to start off with the audio file. We named it as audio.js. So we created the class where most of the audio files are defined initially. So here we've got the home audio, which is this instrumental that we also use for the game as well, if you probably heard in the demo. And then here we also define the login audio, which is here. And then we just initialize the audio player when we first load up the page here. setting the background music with a new audio element. And then this is making sure that the audio is looping. And then here we are defining the sound effects that we use in the demo. I know I didn't mention them in the demo, but there are a couple sound effects that we have added. So for example, we've got the little bell sound that happens when a move is completed on the grid here being defined. We've got the complete audio, which is that little bell sound effect that happens when a user completes a puzzle. We've got the audio defined for shuffling, which is when the grid shuffles, one defined for when the grid is also reset, and then the one for the hints, basically, the magic hints. And the scoreboard is also defined down here. And then here are just some of the function definitions, like for example, playing shuffle sound. And then we had to get kind of creative with the home page music because while we used the same audio file, we didn't want it to be repetitive because every page on the website kind of has its own different audio and environment as a result. So we edited the homepage music to only loop the first 32 seconds of the audio file that is used for the homepage audio and the game page audio. Um, so like right here, we're telling it to loop when the current time of the audio file reaches 32 seconds, and then it resets it back to 0 and plays it again. And then on the other hand, this is the function for playing the game music. We wanted it to be kind of like a transition from the homepage audio. So while the homepage plays the first 32 seconds, the game, um, so while the homepage plays the first 32 seconds of the audio, the game page will start at the 33-second mark to make it kind of like a transition. The first go around initially, and then once this loop has finished, it will just loop it normally and set the time back to 0. So it plays the whole audio file. Here is the configuration.php file. This is where we're initializing the connection to the database. So here we're defining the database host. Oops, sorry, the database host, the name, user password, starting the session here. And then we call this my get, or we then we call, and then we call this get MySQL I function, which is how we are making the actual connection to the database. So this is basically in creating a MySQL class, which is what is making the connection to the database. And of course, we have error handling just in case there is an error with it connecting to the database that is outputted in the console to let us know. So this is the analytics.php file. This is one of the more complex files in the project. So here we're defining the connection to the database. This is for the player behavior. We get the user ID, which is created when the user's account is created. We then make a statement returning the puzzle size, the average amount of time it took for them to complete, um, the total games that they did complete, their win rate based off of the games that they finished. And this is grouped by puzzle size in the database. And this is basically displaying that information in the database every time the analytics page is opened.